Do you have a business idea but don't know where to start? I would like to wish all the ladies a hearty Women's Day. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a privilege to be here with all of you today at this esteemed event. We are about to be joined by a visionary who has not only made significant strides in the financial service industry but has also contributed greatly to the growth and development of education in India.
We are honored to have with us Mr. Ajay Bohora, the co-founder of HDFC Credila Financial Services, India's largest private sector student loan lender. Under his leadership, HDFC Credila has disbursed over rupees 10,000 crores in student loans, amounting to more than 1.3 billion US dollars, empowering countless students to pursue their dreams of higher education. Mr. Bohora's journey is truly inspiring. A graduate of VJTI, Bombay University, with a BE degree and an MBA from Hofstra University, New York. He has a wealth of experience in both international and Indian markets. Prior to founding Credila, Mr. Bohora spent 6 years at MetLife in their New York offices. Returning to India, he went on to establish a healthcare focused BPO in partnership with a USA based company. His leadership led to the eventual acquisition of the company. His leadership, uh, his leadership led to the eventual acquisition of the company by BPO by global giant WNS Global Services, a company co-owned by the British Airways and Warburg Pincus. Under his guidance, WNS went on to launch its IPO on the New York Stock Exchange in 2005.
In 2006, alongside his brother Anil Bohora, Mr. Ajay Bohora founded Credila, India's first dedicated student loan company. Their groundbreaking work in the education financing sector earned them recognition as promising entrepreneurs of India by the Economic Times. Not just a successful entrepreneur, Mr. Bohora is a deeply involved enthusiast in contributing to nation's educational and financial landscape. He served as a member of subcommittee, a student of financial aid for the government of India, and has been an active participant in higher education network at Wiki.
In addition, he serves on the Board of Governors of IIIT Nagpur, one of India's prestigious institutes of national importance. Ladies and gentlemen, we are truly privileged to have Mr. Ajay Bohora with us today. Now, I request Dr. Aarti Deshpande ma'am to share the token of gratitude. His insights and experience will undoubtedly leave us all inspired. Please join me in welcoming him to the stage.
Hi, good morning, everyone. For all the women present here, first of all, happy Women's Day. And we must take time to really go back home and thank our mothers and our sisters for adding so much of value to our lives, including myself. So I wish happy Women's Day to my wife who is here, beloved wife Sunita Bohra. Thank you. Now we'll start. First of all, I just want to thank the Institute for this privilege and an honor to be here with among all of you today. To be with Mr. Sunil Raisoni at the start of the day and hear his story, how he started out from scratch to building 45,000 worth and scaled up educational institutes around the state of Maharashtra and beyond is really inspiring. With that, it's really an honor I consider myself to be a part of, where TIE Nagpur had joined in and JITO Nagpur had joined in, and their leadership is here. So I'm really fortunate to be with you today. Thank you, sir. Thank you, all the institutes who have partnered together, and even Nagpur Industrial Association has joined in. So I want to thank them. Having said that, let just make sure that the next 60 minutes that we have, we try to take some strong takeaways with us, and I get to share my experiences so that the cost I have paid in various forms, including my hair. I had a full head of full with hair, but I lost it during all the mistakes I made and the struggles I had undergone. So, if I'm able to share those learnings with you, and if some of you can avoid making those mistakes, then it would be worth its time. So, let's look at that. So, our theme today that we are going to discuss or interact with is developing a unicorn. How many of you know the meaning of unicorn? With the raise of the hand. Okay. What is it, if I may ask? Yeah.
Company amounting to 1 billion of value.
Yeah. So any company with a valuation of over 1 billion is called a unicorn. So developing a unicorn, that's the first part of our session today, and building for scale. So even though they are interrelated, they are different, and we'll discuss why. So let's start beginning with a question. Why should we attend today's session? What's in it for us? Now, some of you are students, some of here are participants who are very accomplished entrepreneurs, professionals. So why should we spend the next 60 minutes? I think if we look at the world around us, there is one way to describe it is that the tsunami of change has come in. And we are constantly moving from new normal to the next normal. By normal, I mean the environment around us. It's changing so rapidly that we have to explore at the new normal kind of parameters. What do we mean by new normal? Every business now has become a tech business. And those of you who are students here, you will have to really consider one fundamental question, that if your dream employer comes here and has only one job to offer, how can you convince that employer that it is me? Or if there is a dream university or a dream program you want to pursue in whichever country or whichever city of India or elsewhere, how would you convince them that it's only you and only you that should be recruited or that should be considered? So that's the mindset we have to have, and let's try to find out some answers. How can you prove that you are the person who is ready to take on the challenges of the world? So first, if every business has become a tech business, it is incumbent on all of us, and mainly for the graduating students or the students who are studying, that you have to have tech angle of your personality coming out. Knowing latest technologies is not an option anymore, but it's a mandatory must-have skills. Being AI ready, being able to use artificial intelligence tools is one way in which you can integrate yourself into the upcoming scenarios or emerging opportunities that we are going to encounter all along. Second reason is technology startups are spoiling existing businesses. Now there are a lot of entrepreneurs here, and some of you might want to become, but if you go into the traditional businesses, the challenges they are facing is new startup comes in from nowhere, from a small city, and tries to attack your business and makes you irrelevant. Also, generative AI like ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and many others, and there are other technologies who are changing the future of work. Machines have already started doing almost everything that the humans can do. So the next generation, all of us must be future ready. If we look at various other things, like if we are running a traditional business, we might think that we are building business for the profit. But can we really live in an era where we consider focusing on how much profit we are generating every day and just be peaceful? In my opinion, the answer is no. Why? Because profit squeeze is happening now every day. The competition is coming in from unrelated sectors. Also, global environment. Now because of the e-commerce becoming so popular with the digital native population, it is making our businesses obsolete very quickly. Now, if these are the scenarios, then what can we do? That's where Jeff Bezos, one of the richest men of the world, whenever he conducted any meetings at Amazon, he used to say that while the world is changing, but there are a few constants. There are fundamental things of businesses, underlying things which are not changing. And what are those? That it still means that when no matter what happens in the external world, higher productivity will still be rewarded. So as the student, for us to be future ready, we have to make sure that we know how to use our time productively, how to function productively. What do we mean by that? That means compared to the input, our output has to be more. Also, another mega trend which is coming in and which is remaining constant, that now generic products are not working anymore for any business. If they offer any generic product, it's not working. It has to be hyper personalized to your needs. And if you look at the online commerce platforms, they know so much about you, probably more than what you know of yourself. And that's what gives them an edge, because they can super customize their products as per your specific needs. For example, if let's say today is the Women's Day, and if you have sent any greetings to your mother in the past or bought something a day prior or 2 days prior, they can offer you a solution that they would write the name of your mother or your sister or your wife and send you a gift and a special rate for that. Now, because they know so much about you, they know the name of your mother or the person who matters in your life, and if they make it very easy for you, at a click of a button, you can buy that, and that would make the traditional businessman non-relevant. And these are some of the tools which are giving additional advantages for hyper-personalization. Now, if we see that these are the trends, then one objective, generic objective for all of us could be, how can we be future ready? Now, what is the underlying meaning of being future ready? In my opinion, for any traditional businesses, it is the mindset, the fundamental point is we cannot build businesses for profit anymore. We have to build businesses for value creation. And what do we mean by value creation and what creates value? The first one, in my opinion, and then as we go along, we will go into some examples or some case studies or my own live examples on how did we work on all of these parameters and created the value. One is the niche. We'll have to see, when the world is so wide, every opportunity comes in with an expiry date. I repeat, if we see any opportunity, let's say you feel that there are many pets around and they need proper care during the winter time, let's say, assuming that idea comes to your mind as the student and you want to be an entrepreneur. We have to keep one thing in mind, that every opportunity that we can think of has an expiry date. So we cannot do multiple things to multiple people. We have to find a niche. By niche, we mean a sub-segment of that opportunity. And if we focus on that and create a solution, that would create value. Second, specialization. Again, same part of the niche, but very, very super specialized solutions. So for example, there is one lady that we know of. She has 100 crore revenue doing what? Sustainable diapers. And within that, she has used the material which is eco-friendly, environment-friendly. So there are many mothers who prefer that. Even though it appears to be a small segment, but her revenue is 100 crores. Third is client base. Now, there are many families, or you might have your own family also, who are into traditional businesses. And when you go there as the students, they would want the next generation to carry on the same traditional business. Now, how can they be future ready? In my opinion, they can ask one question, that what is my client base? If let's say I have a restaurant and I have a client base who really like my brand, then can we think of how to leverage that client base with the future ready tools or with the tools which would connect with them? For example, hyper customized home delivery. Now, if I have the customers, but if it's a rainy season and they need my home cooked food at home, but with special message on it, or I need maybe 2-3 things added into my ingredient. Can we make that happen? Can we add cloud kitchen to our restaurant business? Or whatever traditional, let's say manufacturing. If our business is manufacturing corrugated boxes as an example, can we add the future ready component based on our clients? So if our client base is what we own, then adding some digital elements or technology elements or hyper personalization elements, we can create a distinct competitive advantage which can last longer than otherwise. Institutional partnership. Let's say if we are in a business where we know the suppliers, we also know the partners, and we are creating an ecosystem around it. Now, unless we reinvent and reorient the traditional business, if it's going to get obsolete, then can we look at them and help them be more competitive? For example, let's say if we are into a tire manufacturing unit, and so who are our supply chain? The suppliers who are giving us the material for tire or rubber manufacturers. Other partners could be, let's say, the trucking companies. Now, I know one company in Jaipur, what they have done is they have added data analytics element to that. So it's a very traditional business, but when this person went in to join his family business, he said, I would give you the usage of tires and the wear and tear. Now, it was a very simple thing to do. What happened was Goodyear, the tire company, wanted to partner with him. They said, you form a separate company, and they gave him 18 crores. And now he wants to buy them back with 70 to 80 crores turnover. What did he do? He took a traditional business and he just added a small analytics component on the tire wear and tear. Now, why did the tire company become so interested? Because that would give them the idea on how to send them the orders discount before the tires really wear and tear. So it enhanced their sales. Second, they identified the causes that on which roads the tires were getting maximum wear and tear and why. And they just added a simple element that you maybe make sure that the air pressure during that path, during that patch is lower. Or they also change the material. So it gave them so much of insights into the market segment that that company became very valuable to them. And it was just a transformation of a traditional business into a future ready business. Now we will get into, and that's where my experiences come in. What we can do is, like, suppose you go to a company, if you are from a family where there is a traditional business going on, let's say trading is going on, and collectively you decide, and this is happening in many families around India, across the world, that our traditional businesses, whichever our parents did, whichever our forefathers did, is now increasingly becoming irrelevant or obsolete. That time, what is the first thought that comes to your mind? That my children now are getting educated, they would join me. When they join you, then there is a fundamental mindset or the question we have to ask: do we continue on with the traditional business? So the first thing to ask there is my business, what is the ground reality? Am I going to last, let's say, next 50 years in the same way or the same business? If the answer to that is no, then what's the next logical consequent question, which is that how can we diversify? Now, when we look at that point of the existing business not being working out, or we want to diversify, these are the steps, in my opinion, what we can follow. And this I have also followed, because I'll tell you more about my background. I'll tell you why we followed this and how we could implement part of it and what is the formula around it. So at the end of the session, we'll try to come up with a formula or 6 component, maybe roadmap, how we can follow these steps. So the first, if we want to diversify, first is find a large industry, find a specific gap within that industry, focus on specific gap or a product, and experiment. Like, what is your solution? You found the gap, it's a large industry, you found a gap and you found a solution. And then you create the product around it. I'll give you one example for that. Also, while doing that, it is important that our second component of our topic was building for scale. How can we create a product that would be scaled up, not just for 10 customers, 50 customers, but scaled up? Now let's keep these questions in our mind. I'll give you one live example, and then while working on that live example, we will share how we can connect back to our thoughts. So HDFC Credila story. So as the introduction said, I am an engineer from Mumbai, JITO, then MBA from New York. And my father is a lawyer. So we are the first generation entrepreneur, my brother and I. And that's where the Credila story started. But prior to that, we had a business process outsourcing. After my MBA from New York and working in New York for 8 years, I came back. But there is a story. How many of you want to be entrepreneurs with the raise of the hand? Okay. How many of you are from non-business background families? Okay, most of it. How many of you from non-metro city? Like Nagpur is also, even though it's a metro, but not the top 5 metros. Raise a hand. How many of you are from non-metro cities? Okay. So then you will relate to my story because I am from Nasik, also not business, not any business background. So the first, the first question that comes to our mind is where do we start, right? Where do we start? So this is where I started, and I'm sharing this story with you because it might give you some ideas in your own context. So while at New York, I was selling life insurance and I was selling mutual funds. So that involved a lot of cold calling. My wife is also used to help me buy a list and then do cold calling. So then one thought came to my mind that if we want to do a business, want to start something at Nasik without any capital, what we thought that data processing was very expensive in the US because people cost was high there and people cost in India was low there, which is even true now, right? If you look at the salaries there and also the currency differential, the cost here was lower. So we came out with a simple idea that we talk to some companies in the US and do their data processing work in India. This was way back in 1997, 1996. So that's what we did. What I did was I bought a list of data processing companies from Dun and Bradstreet. So they sell companies that you tell them that you need companies based on this business. So I bought that list and started cold calling, giving a pitch that if we start a company in India, would you give us the work? And naturally, what would be their response? They would just use to hang up my phone and just give abuses and all. That happened, but after a few hundred calls, I ended up calling a gentleman called John Dion at Des Moines, Iowa. That was in the west, in the Midwest of the US, and that person said that actually that's a long story, but I'll tell you in short. That person said, I'm coming across UPS as a large RFP, request for proposal, a tender, where my competition is going to be from Mexico. So at your own cost, you come to Des Moines, Iowa and tell me how do people do work overseas other than the US. And that's why my brother and I, but he said you come with a business plan. Now some of you who would want to start out afresh and do not have business background, these are the questions which will come in. Come in with a business plan. So my brother bought a book, how to write a business plan, and whatever we understood, he wrote some chapters, I wrote some chapters. And we went to him. Now, sure enough, because we were, amateurs, we did not know the business. He looked at it and he laughed. And he really, in his mind, he must have thought that I'm amused that with the guts of these people that they don't know anything, still they reached here. And it really was the situation. But he was nice to us. He said, since you came in all the way from New York and my brother came in from Baltimore, I'll show you around what I do. And we looked at it and I got so inspired. He had a few hundred people working, doing data processing work. So that deepened my conviction in the thought that the business concept that we have is the right business. So the first learning, those of you, if you have any idea, be bold, be maybe fearless, also be shameless. See, I got during those calls, so many people abused us, hung up on me. Don't worry, it is a reflection of them. The way people behave is how they are. Why are you worried? Why you should get affected? You just continue on with your passion and keep driving. Now, with that, what happened was eventually then he said, now I learned enough from you, you go back. And we were very disappointed, we went back. But then I continued to call, and my pitch then was, I used to tell the same story but gave those leads to John Dion, saying, I continued to call and this company has worked for 70 people, 100 people. Instead of pitching India to them, he used to give them Des Moines, Iowa prices which were lower than the prices of New York and used to keep the work there. I again got disappointed that 5-6 clients I gave him and still there is no reward and he is not coming to India. Eventually, there was a company called JCI from New Jersey and that company had a few hundred people. They said we got a project from Kmart, like Walmart, there was another company called Kmart and that pricing has to be offshore pricing. Then Mr. Dion told us, he called us and he said, now I ran out of the reasons to say no to you. I am ready to move in with you. But he said, you resign at your own risk. I will not give you any salary. and my wife was pregnant then. But we said, this is the opportunity. I came back to Nasik with my wife. We had no capital, and that person said, I'll only give you 50 computers. I'll not give you money and you manage on your own. So this is second learning for us, is that whenever we get any starting point, we do not know all the answers, and that's a hallmark of an entrepreneurial spirit. You have to deal with ambiguity and vagueness. We do not have all the answers, but you just have to be passionate. There is a word in Marathi, ध्येय धुंध. That means आपका जो जुनून है, वो उससे आप अगर पूरे हॉन्टेड हो, तो शायद आपको लगता है कि होगा. सारे आंसर्स उस वक्त आपके पास नहीं हो सकते, लेकिन अगर आपको डीप कन्विक्शन है कि मैं ये करना चाहता हूँ और ये मुझे एक्साइट कर रहा है, तो हमने वो जंप लेनी चाहिए, और वो हमने ली. Then eventually what happened was, to cut the long story short, उसके बाद हमने यहाँ पर BPO शुरू किया नासिक में. There were about 450 employees. In the interim, वो जो जॉन डायन थे, उनका हमको फोन आया. He had a facial paralysis. He says, now I have lost interest. You buy me out. But we did not have the money. So he said, don't worry. Whenever you get any revenues, you pay me off over a few months. That's what we did, and we became 100% owners of the company. And then we grew it, and then we sold it to WNS. WNS was the company owned by British Airways and Warburg Pincus. They had 18,000 employees there. They came to Nasik and they acquired us because we were focusing on healthcare claims at that time. And then our luck, the God blessed us, and WNS got listed on New York Stock Exchange with $1 billion valuation. And we had the stock options, also we had cash that they had acquired with. We had the earnout. So we did financially very well. Now, even though we exited in 2005 from WNS, at Nasik today, there are 3,700 employees still working. So the important learning for us is, it starts with a dream, but now it transformed the lives of 3,700 people at Nasik and continue to do that. Those who joined us then, now they have multiple cars, they have good houses. So it's very fulfilling. So that's the first part of the journey. Now after that, we'll talk about the second part, and then we'll come into the formula. Now the second is, after we had done that, we realized that the valuation, the value creation exercise that we are talking about, and now we are at the building a unicorn part. Building a unicorn required us to focus on a large opportunity, because we wanted to play now in the bigger league. We said that we played maybe one level league, now play the international league. And that's when we found out, and this was again, we did not have banking background, as you know. We did research on Google, and we found out that financial services industry was the largest industry after petrochemicals. So within that, we were trying to find out some niche, and that's when accidentally I was at Boca Raton, Florida for one structured finance event, and that's when one idea came in. There was a session, one session on education loans, and in the US at that time there was $700 billion of student loans pending, while as in India all lenders put together were only $10 billion. So I went to that lady, there was a panel discussion, there was a lady from Standards and Poor's. She said 700 billion, that's the student loan size. I remember I went to her and asked her, did you mean 70 billion or 700 billion? She said 700 billion. So that night I could not sleep. I said, in India there are so many students who are unable to get education loans. Why should we not do it in India? And with that thought, that Credila story came in. We became India's first dedicated education loan company. India's first dedicated education loan company, and this is the journey that we came across. We started out in 2006, and if you see DSP Merrill Lynch, who had $1.7 trillion under management. I repeat, 1.7 trillion, T as in Tom, under management. They decided to partner with two individuals, my brother and I from Nasik, without any banking background, as 40% investor in our company. And they became our first investor. But then again, another story. In 2008, as you know, the Wall Street was in turbulence. There was a bloodbath on the Wall Street. And one Saturday morning we got up and we realized that since we were about to start lending, actually we were very excited. And all of a sudden we got up and we realized that Bank of America had acquired Merrill Lynch. Our investor did not exist because on that Friday, Lehman Brothers collapsed and Merrill Lynch got acquired by Bank of America. So Bank of America became our investors, but they were nice to us. They said, we understand that this segment is going to be very big in India, but we cannot remain principals in any lending organization other than the US. That's when they said, you identify some right partners. So we had multiple term sheets from Sequoia and many others, but we went ahead with HDFC. So HDFC acquired the stake of Bank of America in Credila, in the company that my brother and I founded. I continued to be the MD and CEO of the company, and just in 2010 we disbursed 100 crores. If you see the journey now, we got double A rated by CRISIL in 2012. In 2013, just in 3 years time frame, we multiplied it by 10x and we disbursed 1,000 crore by 2013. And moving on, up to 2019 December, we had disbursed 10,000 crores of education loans. Everything from Nasik. And when I say disbursed, it was Credila's own balance sheet, our own balance sheet. We had 7,000 crores on our balance sheet, 700 employees, 700 crores plus revenue, and 24% of the revenue was profit after tax. I repeat, 24% of revenue was profit after tax. We were the most profitable subsidiary of HDFC Group as a percentage of revenue. And this happened because the size of our dream was there and we believed in our dream. So that's another learning that we had. That you have to ask one fundamental question: what is the size of my dream? If you want to really make big, then you have to be passionate. आपके ऊपर जुनून सवार होना चाहिए. और जब आपका gut feel आपको कहता है कि यही मुझे करना है, you should just jump. At that time, you may not have resources, you may not have all the answers, but if your conviction is deep enough, then the God helps you. Now that brings us to the next question. We disbursed over $1 billion, which was 7,000 crores, but we crossed that. And now the story did not stop. In 2019, at 2019, we wanted to exit because it was too intense for us, all offices across India, including Nagpur. And by the way, one connect for Credila for Nagpur is the treasury head of Credila is from Nagpur, who has done internship, articleship with sir only. Here, JITO chairperson is there, Surana Saab and Parak Saab. उन्होंने articleship की थी. He was our first chartered accountant to join our company. He continues to be there even today. He has disbursed. So, अगर आप Credila का आज की बात देखें, Credila's balance sheet today is 41,864 crores. Revenue is 2,100 crore, and profit after tax is 400 crores. So it's not a loss-making company. On a revenue of 2,100 crore, 400 crores of profit after tax, and 41,000 crore balance sheet. और इस सारे balance sheet का fund mobilization like non-convertible debentures, commercial paper, perpetual debt, bank borrowings, all have been done by one person called Lakshmikant Tople, who is from Nagpur. We are very proud to say that. So Nagpur का जो लड़का, he did not have any background in this, but he has risen up to the occasion and really has played a pivotal role into the growth of the company. So जब हम coming back to our story, in 2019, we wanted to exit out. That's when we sold the company. Our company got valued at 4,330 crores at that time. And my brother and I, we had 9.12% as our fully diluted shareholding, because we had the warrants and we had the anti-dilution, but we had not taken it. So we got 395 crores between me and my brother. But the company that we sold for 4,300 crores, last June, look at the company that we started again. Two brothers starting a company from Nasik without any banking background. We built it and HDFC sold that company, HDFC Limited, the parent of all HDFC brands, for 10,350 crores. If you Google that in the month of June, you will see this press release. They sold it for 10,350 crores. Currently, this is the balance sheet. Now, HDFC has sold it to EQT Ventures, which is a Sweden-based private equity, and Chris Capital they own 17%. Between the two of them, they grew the company. And what is the current status? They have filed for the IPO. The valuation they are expecting is about 20 to 30,000 crore. I repeat, 20 to 30,000 crore. That is a massive valuation. So the value creation, everything happened in the past 15 years. Now, what are the learnings? Now, you might say that this is about the story, but इससे हमको क्या फायदा? हम क्या सीखे इससे? So what I will try to do is, for all of the entrepreneurs, I am very passionate about entrepreneurial ecosystem, and today's program is to nurture that, and we must congratulate our institute for creating a program like that. Why? Because economies of scale is not going to work. आप ध्यान से सुनिए, जो बड़ी कंपनीज है उनके लिए फ्यूचर अभी नहीं है. क्यों? क्योंकि अगर इतने तेज रफ्तार से चेंज हो रहा है तो वो कैसे कम्पीट कर पाएंगे? उनका रिस्पॉन्स टाइम इतना ज्यादा होता है, उनके लेयर्स इतने ज्यादा, उनको टाइम ही नहीं होता कि फटाफट चेंज करें या रिस्पॉन्ड टू द डायनामिकली चेंजिंग सिचुएशन. सो देयर इज नो वे आपके कोई बड़ी कंपनी में आपको एम्प्लॉयमेंट लॉन्ग टर्म मिल सकता है, इसकी संभावना बहुत कम होते जा रही है. सेकंड थिंग, द गुड पार्ट इज startups. So economies of scale is not becoming the competitive advantage or not remaining a competitive advantage. Economies of customer experience is going to overrule or prevail or is going to dictate. तो उसके लिए we have to have entrepreneurial mindset. तो वो कैसे करना है, इसके लिए मैंने एक फॉर्मूला डिवाइस किया है 6 steps का. So you can, if you really agree to that, you can maybe think of doing part of it or all of it with a caveat. कोई भी अगर हमको डेस्टिनेशन पहुंचना है तो उसके बहुत सारे रास्ते हो सकते हैं. मैं आपके साथ जो शेयर करूंगा वो उसमें से एक फॉर्मूला है. हो सकते हैं उसके और भी 100 और अलग रास्ते हो सकते हैं. ये आप सबके लिए ये क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट है कि हम एंटरप्रेन्योरियल स्पिरिट माइंड में क्यों लाए? बिकॉज वी हैव ऑलरेडी बिकम इररिलेवेंट. ये सुंदर पिचाई का आप स्टेटमेंट देखिए. So, अगर AI सब कुछ करने वाला है तो हम क्या करें? It is just our mind. We have to be able to do more. The rules of success are getting rewritten. तो अभी सिर्फ माइंड में आइडिया आने से काम नहीं होने वाला. We need to do execution, and execution requires entrepreneurial spirit. So what we need to learn is entrepreneurial spirit. अगर हम entrepreneur बने या ना बने, हो सकता है हम कोई कंपनी में एम्प्लॉय करके जाए, लेकिन अगर हमारा माइंड एंटरप्रेन्योरियल स्पिरिट से भरा हुआ है, then we are future ready. Now, how can we do that? अभी इसके ऊपर we will just go briefly and then we will try to finish within time. अभी एंटरप्रेन्योरियल स्पिरिट के बारे में हम थोड़ा सोचेंगे. उसमें कुछ मेरे पास कुछ स्टोरीज है, I'll share with you. So it's optional. It's not optional. It's mandatory. What is entrepreneurship? It's doing more with less. बराबर? You add one more word to that. Entrepreneurship is doing more with less, मतलब less resources, less people, less budget, for more. उसका impact ज़्यादा होना चाहिए. तो अगर आप कोई जो भी projects कर रहे हो, अगले 3-4 साल में आप college में रहेंगे, if you can demonstrate this skill कि आपके पास कोई resources नहीं था, कोई भी material नहीं था, फिर भी आपने deliver किया और ज़्यादा लोगों को उसका impact हुआ, then you can say that this is my entrepreneurial way of demonstrating that I can be relevant for you to be future ready. ये कहानी हो सकती कि अगर एक ही जॉब है तो हमको क्यों मिलेगा? अभी एंटरप्रेन्योर अगर है या आपको माइंड हमको अगर डेवलप करना है तो व्हाट डज इट लुक फॉर? इट लुक्स फॉर चेंज एंड इट रिस्पॉन्ड्स टू इट एंड इट एक्सप्लोर्स द अपॉर्चुनिटी. तो चेंज तो अभी जैसे हम देख रहे हैं सभी जगह पर है. दैट मींस इट्स अ golden era or the golden opportunity for us. We are in the right time zone. ये अपॉर्चुनिटी राइट टाइम स्लॉट पर हम आए हुए हैं जहां पर इतने सारे चेंजेस हो रहे हैं. दैट्स वेयर द अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर एंटरप्रेन्योर्स इज ट्रेमेंडस. अब इसमें डिसरप्टर क्या करता है? डिसरप्टर मतलब कि कोई अलग आइडिया है कि जो हटके हो, आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स आइडिया. दैट अ डिसरप्टर सीज थिंग्स दैट अदर्स कैन नॉट सी, रिएक्ट्स फास्टर देन अदर्स. और इसीलिए छोटी कंपनीज कैन बीट द लार्ज कंपनीज एंड ड्राइव्स बेटर देन अदर्स एवर विल. लेकिन इनोवेशन और डिसरप्शन सेम नहीं है. आप ये समझना बहुत जरूरी है. इनोवेशन मतलब इंक्रीमेंटल चेंज, डूइंग समथिंग बेटर, बट डिसरप्शन मतलब मेकिंग थिंग्स, ओल्ड थिंग्स ऑब्सोलीट. अगर हमने ऐसा सोचना शुरू किया एंड वी क्वेश्चन द स्टेटस को कि मान लीजिए हम ऑफिस, घर से ऑफिस ऐसे आ रहे हैं, कैन देयर बी अ बेटर वे? कैन वी अवॉइड गोइंग टू द ऑफिस ऑल टुगेदर इफ इट्स अ हाइब्रिड मोड? Can we create like a digital replica जो already आ रहा है? So something which is not just an incremental different way of doing it, but totally different, which is making the whole things obsolete. It's called disruption. Now ऐसे situation ये थोड़ा abstract लग रहा है. क्या ये वाकई में possible है? कोई disruptive solution हो सकता है कि जहाँ पर इतने सारे unknowns हो और इतने challenges हो, ऐसा कोई हमारे आजू बाजू में environment अगर हमको दिखने मिल रहा है. So paradoxically an ant, if we see the ants जो हम पूरे जमीन पर टहलते हुए दिखते हैं हमको, उनके ants के बारे में क्या आपको पता है कि उनके पास सिर्फ 250,000 ब्रेन सेल्स होते हैं, जबकि ह्यूमन के पास 10,000 मिलियन ब्रेन सेल्स होते हैं. फिर भी अगर ants कर सकती है इतनी कॉम्प्लेक्स चीजें, क्या कॉम्प्लेक्स चीजें ants करती है कि अपने वेट से 20 गुना ज्यादा वेट ants उठा पाती है. और अगर आपने देखी होगी ants एक ही लाइन से ऐसे चलते रहते हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि जो एक ant होती है वो चलते चलते कुछ उधर सेंट वहां पर कोई केमिकल जैसा ऐसे ड्रॉप करते हैं ताकि पिछले वाले वो ट्रैक पर आते रहे, क्योंकि उन्होंने खजाना ढूंढा है, उन्होंने ट्रेजर हंट किया हुआ है. तीसरी बात, अगर ड्यू ड्रॉप भी आता है तो वो उनके लिए फ्लड के बराबर है. तो उन्होंने उनका जो घर बना के रखा है चींटियों ने, जो एंट्स ने, उसमें भी अलग अलग कंपार्टमेंट्स होते हैं. कहने का मतलब क्या है कि इतनी छोटी ब्रेन सेल्स होते हुए भी ant, an insignificant thing like an ant, can think so strategically and can be future ready. Why can a human brain not be capable of doing the same thing when we have 10,000 million brain cells in our mind? So मतलब ability की बात तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं. अगर हम डिसाइड करते हैं तो human mind can definitely do that, right? अभी rules of the life and success are getting rewritten. हमको disruptor होना ही पड़ेगा. डिसरप्टर हो तो कैसे? नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आता है कि हम कैसे करें, वो उसका प्रोसेस क्या है, या कोई ऐसा किसी ने किया है? इन दो लोगों का आप फेस देखिए, आप जानते हैं इनको, मेरे जैसे दिखते हैं, मेरे फोटो से है नहीं, लेकिन इनका नाम नहीं जानते, राइट? मून हम सब जानते हैं, राइट? मून, चंदा मामा, करेक्ट? इसके ऊपर गाने भी है काफी. ये हमको इसका एस्ट्रोलॉजी भी है, हमको उसका ज्योग्राफिकल सिग्निफिकेंस पता है. ये मून के ऊपर काफी सारे फेस्टिवल्स हैं, वो हमारा कैलेंडर भी मून के अराउंड है, फ्लैग्स के ऊपर भी मून है. तो मून तो जब से स्टार्ट ऑफ द सिविलाइजेशन से द मून एग्जिस्टेड, करेक्ट? एंड देन समवन केम आउट विद एन ओरिजिनल आइडिया. मतलब सब चीज मून सबको दिख रहा है, लेकिन किसी को आइडिया आया मून देख के, क्या आइडिया आया? दैट्स व्हाट द पॉइंट इज, दैट इफ वी लुक एट थिंग्स अराउंड अस, सदियों से चलता आ रहा है, लेकिन किसी को एक वो आइडिया नहीं आया जो किसी को आया. क्या आइडिया था वो? मैन ऑन द मून. किसी ने सोचा कि हमको चांद पर एक आदमी को भेजना है. ह्यूमन बीइंग वी हैव टू सेंड टू द मून. एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप इज ऑल अबाउट दैट. सीइंग थिंग्स डिफरेंटली, कनेक्टिंग द डॉट्स, बीइंग एबल टू क्रिएट अ विजन अराउंड इट. विजन इज द आर्ट ऑफ सीइंग व्हाट इज इनविजिबल टू अदर्स. वहां पर मून था लेकिन किसी ने देखा नहीं. तो जो बाकी लोग सिर्फ देख रहे हैं, लेकिन हम उसके अराउंड सोच के कुछ उसका सॉल्यूशन बना रहे हैं. ये जो दो लोग थे, इन्होंने फर्स्ट कॉन्सेप्चुअलाइज किया, जॉर्ज लो एंड ब्रूस लैंडलिन. दे फर्स्ट थॉट ऑफ सेंडिंग मैन ऑन द मून. लेकिन हमको उनका नाम नहीं पता है. क्यों? लेकिन नाम हमको इसका पता है, नील आर्मस्ट्रॉन्ग. व्हाट इज द पॉइंट आई एम मेकिंग? जिन्होंने सोचा कि हमको मून पर आदमी भेजना है, उसको कोई नहीं पहचानता, हम लोग कोई नहीं पहचानता, उनका कोई लेगेसी नहीं. लेकिन नील आर्मस्ट्रॉन्ग जो वहां पर गया, उसका लेगेसी है. व्हाट डज इट मीन? दैट द पर्सन हु एग्जीक्यूट्स गेट्स रिवॉर्डेड. अगर हमारे पास कुछ स्टार्टअप आइडिया है, दैट नोबडी विल नो अस. जो एग्जीक्यूट करेगा उसी को लोग समझ पाएंगे, करेक्ट? नाउ जो हमने 6 स्टेप जो फॉर्मूला किया, एंड देन विद दैट वी विल कंक्लूड. तो जस्ट लिसन इन एंड आई विल शेयर सम एक्सपीरियंसेस कि अगर हमको कोई डाइवर्सिफाई करना है, अगर हमारा ट्रेडिशनल बिजनेस है, अगर हमको डाइवर्सिफाई करना है, तो हम वो प्रोसेस क्या है, वो कैसे डिसाइड करें. और अगर आप फर्स्ट जनरेशन एंटरप्रेन्योर हो और आपको कोई विदाउट कैपिटल कोई बिजनेस शुरू करना है, तो वो कैसे करें? इज देयर एनी फॉर्मूला? और वो करते वक्त हमको वी आर ट्राइंग टू सी कि बिल्डिंग फॉर स्केल. हमको छोटा मोटा बिजनेस नहीं करना है. वी आर असूमिंग कि यार साइज ऑफ द ड्रीम इज वेरी बिग. हमको कोई बड़ा यूनिकॉर्न बनाना है और वो सस्टेनेबल बनाना है. ऐसे नहीं कि जैसे मैं किसी का नाम नहीं लेना चाहता कि लेकिन कोई बड़ी कंपनी बन गई, जीरो प्रॉफिट है या लॉसेस हो रहे हैं और फिर बंद हो गई. वी आर नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट बिल्डिंग दैट काइंड ऑफ अ बिजनेस. we are building for scale, right? उसके so creating a unicorn, अगर हमको $1 billion business बनाना है, what are the critical decision points? वो जो 6 decision points है, those are the critical components in my mind. The first one, तो जब भी अगर मान लीजिए हमारा ट्रेडिशनल बिजनेस है फैमिली का, हमको उसको डाइवर्सिफाई करना है या हम नया अपॉर्चुनिटीज ढूंढ रहे हैं, हमने पहले स्टेप्स देखे कि निश देखना है, उसमें अलग से कुछ करने का सोचना है. सो द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन टू आस्क इज, आर वी डिगिंग अ ड्राई वेल और आर वी डिगिंग अ वेल विद डीप वाटर? उसका क्या मतलब है कि अगर हमारा साइज ऑफ द ड्रीम बड़ा है, अगर हम यूनिकॉर्न बनाना चाहते हैं, तो अपॉर्चुनिटी साइज भी उतना होना चाहिए. जैसे एजुकेशन लोन में हमारा था, यूएस में $700 बिलियन था, इंडिया का 10 बिलियन. दैट मीन्स इट कुड हैव ग्रोन 700 टाइम्स, 70 टाइम्स. एज ऑफ नाउ देखिए इंडिया, मैं आपको एजुकेशन लोन का नंबर बोलता हूँ, विच इज डिगिंग द वाटर विद द वेल. अपॉर्चुनिटी ही इतना बड़ा है कि हम उसमें कुछ भी करें, वी कैन सक्सीड. एंड दैट्स द पॉइंट आई एम ड्राइविंग. द एग्जांपल इज, यूएसए में 700 बिलियन था जब हमने कंपनी शुरू की इन 2007. आज तब इंडिया का था $10 बिलियन, सॉरी $12 बिलियन. 2006 में था $12 बिलियन इन इंडिया. टुडे इंडिया का 12 बिलियन से हुआ है $15 बिलियन, 3 बिलियन से बढ़ा है. लेकिन यूएसए में वो 700 बिलियन से 1.7 ट्रिलियन डॉलर्स बढ़ा, मतलब 1 ट्रिलियन से बढ़ा. जस्ट थिंक अबाउट इट. यूएसए में एजुकेशन लोन सेगमेंट हैज ग्रोन एज एन एसेट क्लास, व्हिच इज द सेकंड लार्जेस्ट एसेट क्लास आफ्टर मॉर्गेजेस. इतना बड़ा है वो, 1.7 ट्रिलियन. आज भी इंडिया में सिर्फ 15 बिलियन का एजुकेशन लोन है, मतलब करीब 1,25,000 करोड़. दैट मीन्स इवन नाउ एजुकेशन लोन में अगर कोई नॉन बैंक फाइनेंस कंपनी खोलता है तो उसको अनलिमिटेड पोटेंशियल. दैट्स व्हाट वी आर सेइंग. सो जो भी आप बिजनेस एक्सप्लोर कर रहे हो उसमें इतना पोटेंशियल है कि क्या 10, 100, 50 प्लेयर्स भी आए तो भी वो सक्सेसफुल हो सकते हैं. अगर ऐसा है तो यू आर ऑन द राइट ट्रैक, दैट यू आर डिगिंग समथिंग, यू आर नॉट चेजिंग अ ड्राई वेल कि जहाँ पे कुछ आके आपको प्रॉफिट ही नहीं दिख रहा है, वैसा बिजनेस आप चेज नहीं कर रहे. ये कंफर्म होना बहुत जरूरी है एज द फर्स्ट है. सेकंड, ये हमारे लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है एंड वेरी फ्यू पीपल अंडरस्टैंड दैट. इन माय ओपिनियन, टू बी एबल टू बिल्ड अ यूनिकॉर्न or building for scale, and this is my view. There could be people with differing views and just exact opposite view, which is okay, but I have conviction in saying that जब आपको कोई बड़ा play करना है, what you do is important, but what you do not do is more important. I repeat, आप क्या करते हो वो important है, लेकिन आप क्या नहीं करते वो important ज़्यादा है. क्या मतलब है उसका कि लेजर फोकस. लाइक क्रेडिलास जो हमको आरबीआई ने एनबीएफसी लाइसेंस दिया था, उसमें हमको कोई पाबंदी नहीं थी कि एजुकेशन लोन के अलावा आप दूसरा कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते. बट वी हैव चोजन टू डू ओनली एजुकेशन लोन. विद इन एजुकेशन लोन वी हैड चोजन टू डू ओनली इंडियन स्टूडेंट्स गोइंग टू द यूएस, दैट टू फॉर द एमएस प्रोग्राम, दैट टू विद इन सिलेक्ट कोर्सेस. सो इट वाज अ सुपर स्पेशलाइज्ड थिंग. नाउ ये क्यों जरूरी है? जैसे हमने पहले देखा कि एवरी अपॉर्चुनिटी कम्स इन विद एन एक्सपायरी डेट, करेक्ट? आप अभी देख रहे हो अगर इतने तेज रफ्तार से टेक्नोलॉजी चेंज हो रही है, बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट चेंज हो रहा है, तो ऐसा तो नहीं हो सकता कि कोई प्रोडक्ट है वो 10 साल चलेगा, 5 साल चलेगा. वो 1-2 साल में कोई उसको डिसरप्ट करने वाला आ जाएगा, हो सकता है कुछ महीनों में आ जाए. सो व्हेन द विंडो ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी इज सो शॉर्ट, what is incumbent on us, what is imperative for us is to blitzscale. blitzscale मतलब जैसे हिटलर ने सेकंड वर्ल्ड वॉर में ब्लिट्जक्रीज किया था. मतलब क्या, अपोनेंट का समझ आने के पहले ही वो वहां पहुंच जाते थे और स्केल में पहुंच जाते थे. तो एकदम फास्ट, तेज रफ्तार से एक्सपोनेंशियली स्केल करना इज ब्लिट्जस्केलिंग. अगर हमको ब्लिट्जस्केल करना है तो ही हम उसको मोनेटाइज कर पाएंगे. आपका प्रोडक्ट अच्छा, आपकी अपॉर्चुनिटी अच्छा, लेकिन किसी और ने आके आपको डिसरप्ट कर दिया या आपको बीट कर दिया, फिर क्या फायदा है? सो उसके लिए आप अगर एक ही चीज करोगे, अगर आप लेजर फोकस रह के, इफ यू डू ओनली वन स्मॉल थिंग, बट इफ यू डू दैट वन स्मॉल थिंग बेटर देन एनीबडी इन द वर्ल्ड, आई रिपीट, आप फोकस कर रहे हो, पूरा एक ही चीज कर रहे हो, लेकिन उसके आप एक्सपर्ट बन रहे हो और वर्ल्ड में सबसे बेटर कर रहे हो, तो नेचुरली यू विल बी मोस्ट सॉट आफ्टर, यू विल बी वैल्यूड. जैसे क्रेडिला का एग्जांपल देखिए. आपको पता है स्टेट बैंक ऑफ इंडिया का बैलेंस शीट साइज कितना है? 50 लाख करोड़, आई रिपीट 50 लाख करोड़ सिर्फ एक बैंक का। उनके ब्रांचेस कितने हैं? 20,000 to 25,000 ब्रांचेस ऑफ स्टेट बैंक ऑफ इंडिया अलोन। अगर और सब बैंक्स के पास एजुकेशन लोन है। आप सोचिए 2007 में जब हमने शुरू किया सारे बैंक्स के पास एजुकेशन लोन था, फिर भी क्रेडिला बिकेम द लार्जेस्ट प्राइवेट एजुकेशन लोन लेंडर ऑफ इंडिया। और आईसीआईसीआई बैंक से भी बड़ा पोर्टफोलियो क्रेडिला का है, एक्सिस बैंक से बड़ा है, कोटक बैंक से बड़ा एजुकेशन लोन पोर्टफोलियो है। टॉप जो पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स है उसमें से मोस्ट ऑफ द पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक से भी बड़ा एजुकेशन लोन क्रेडिला का भी हो गया। अभी भी एसबीआई को बीट नहीं किया है, लेकिन बाकी बैंकों से बड़ा हो गया है। इट्स अमंग टॉप 5 और टॉप 3 इन इंडिया। व्हाई? बिकॉज द बैंक्स वर डूइंग मल्टीपल थिंग्स। उनके लिए एजुकेशन लोन क्रेडिला डिड ओनली वन, बट इट डिड बेटर देन अदर्स। तो इसकी वजह से इवन बैंकर्स, स्टेट बैंक ऑफ इंडिया के भी a few hundred managers are Credila's clients. क्यों? Because we solve the pain points of the students. और वो पेन पॉइंट अगर हम सॉल्व करते हैं तो our value proposition becomes extremely relevant to our target audience. इसलिए आप अगर कोई बिजनेस का आइडिया एक्सप्लोर कर रहे हो, आप डाइवर्सिफिकेशन का सोच रहे हैं, तो उसमें ज्यादा 10 चीजें करने के बजाय एक ही चीज अगर करें, then you will be remembered and you will be able to scale up to build the unicorn for scale. अभी अगर हमने ये देखा कि हमको ब्लिट्ज स्केल करना है, मतलब हमारे पास अपॉर्चुनिटीज का एक्सपायरी डेट होने के पहले अगर हम उसको इनकैश करना और रियली बड़ा बनाना है, तो ये हमारे लिए क्रेडिला के लिए, और जैसे हमने पहले वेबीओ हमने डिस्कस किया कि एक यूएस का जॉन डायोन नाम का आदमी और उनकी कंपनी हमारे स्ट्रेटेजिक इन्वेस्टर थे। वो फाइनेंशियल इन्वेस्टर नहीं थे। दिस स्लाइड डूइंग समथिंग विद अ स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनर और विदाउट अ स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनर। A financial investor is not a strategic partner. I repeat, कोई आपको पैसा दे रहा है मतलब वो आपका strategic investor, जरूरी नहीं कि वही strategic investor हो। By strategic investor I mean somebody who gives you more than money. उसका क्या मतलब है कि जैसे जॉन डायोन पहले वो थे, उन्होंने तो हमको कंप्यूटर्स दिए, लेकिन उसके अलावा हमको ग्लोबल बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस दी कि बिजनेस कैसे किया जाता है, उसका प्रोसेस फ्लो कैसा है, उसका सिस्टम्स एंड प्रोसेस क्या है। वैसे ही जब मेरी लिंच आए, उन्होंने हमको यूएसए के 2 स्टूडेंट लोन सर्विसर के साथ कनेक्ट कराया, जो बेस्ट इन द यूएस सर्विसिंग, बिलिंग एंड सर्विसिंग प्लेटफॉर्म था, उससे कनेक्ट कराया। उन्होंने हमसे सिक्योरिटाइजेशन करने का टेक्नोलॉजी समझाया, उसका फिलोसॉफी हाउ टू ओरिजिनेट अ लोन समझाया। उसके बाद जब एचडीएफसी आए, दे टोल्ड अस द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस, कि फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज में क्वालिटी पोर्टफोलियो कैसे बिल्ड करना है, कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस क्या होता है, उसके लिए डिसिप्लिन कैसा जरूरी होता है, फाइनेंशियल रेशियोज क्या है, फाइनेंशियल मेट्रिक क्या है, प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी, कॉस्ट टू इनकम रेशियोज, ये सारा आपको स्ट्रेटेजिक इन्वेस्टर समझा सकता है। व्हाई? बिकॉज एचडीएफसी होम लोन जो कर रहे थे, हमने उसी को एक्स्ट्रापोलेट करके एजुकेशन लोन किया। अगर मान लीजिए आपके पास कोई आइडिया है और आपको स्टार्टअप करना है टू क्रिएट लेट्स से सेंसर्स फॉर आईओटी एज एन एग्जांपल, जो इंटरनेट ऑफ थिंग्स का जो सेंसर्स होता है, हाइपोथेटिकली लेट्स से यू वांट टू डू दैट, देयर आर 2 वेज। अगर आप कोई सपोज खुद ही वो स्टार्ट कर रहे हो, वर्सेस दूसरा सिनेरियो कि जो सेंसर्स बनाने वाली कोई यूरोपियन कंपनी, अमेरिकन या सिंगापुर बेस्ड कंपनी, अगर आपके इन्वेस्टर आते हैं, वो आपको फेल नहीं होने देंगे, वो आपको रॉन्ग टर्न नहीं लेने देंगे, वो आपको रॉन्ग डिसीजंस नहीं लेने देंगे। व्हाई? बिकॉज दे अंडरस्टैंड दैट बिजनेस इन अ डिफरेंट ज्योग्राफी। उससे क्या होगा, व्हाई इट इज सो क्रिटिकल इन माय माइंड, बिकॉज ऑफ एचडीएफसी। जब हमने उनके साथ जब डील साइन किया 6th फ्लोर पे, मिस्टर दीपक पारेख, के मिस्त्री, रेणु कर्नाड मैम, रंगल सर, वो जब थे, हम जब नीचे आ रहे थे, माय वाइफ कॉल्ड मी दैट शी स्टार्टेड गेटिंग कॉल्स क्योंकि सीएनबीसी और ईटी नाउ पे फ्लैश हो गया। नेक्स्ट डे एचडीएफसी लिमिटेड का स्टॉक, ये बिजनेस स्टैंडर्ड की न्यूज है, 700 करोड़ से ऊपर गया, और हमारा वैल्यूएशन जस्ट 2 minutes के बाद, बिफोर साइनिंग द एग्रीमेंट और आफ्टर साइनिंग, इट वेंट अप बाय अ फ्यू 100 crores कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन। व्हाई? क्योंकि एचडीएफसी बिकेम अ स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनर। ये एक बहुत क्रिटिकल कंपोनेंट ऑफ द फॉर्मूला है। अगर आप यूनिकॉर्न बनाना चाहते हो या तो सस्टेनेबल बिजनेस, तो आपके साथ फाइनेंशियल पार्टनर लेने के बजाय अगर स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनर लेंगे, एंड दैट स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनर कुड बी एनीबॉडी डिपेंडिंग ऑन योर बिजनेस। यू जैसे ना, एक अगर पेड़ काटना है तो उसके लिए अगर आपको 8 घंटे दिए जाते हैं, तो आपको वो सबको कहानी पता होगी कि 7 घंटे एक आदमी सिर्फ उसको उसके ब्लेड को शार्पन कर रहा था, और 1 घंटा उसने पेड़ काटा, वो बेहतर पेड़ काट सका। तो स्ट्रैटेजिक इन्वेस्टर ढूंढना है बहुत मुश्किल काम है, हमको 3 साल लगे, HDFC और मेरिल लिंच ढूंढने को 3 साल लगे और HDFC को कन्वर्ट करने में 6 महीने लगे। उसको टाइम लगता है, समय लगता है, लेकिन अगर आप उसके बारे में पैशनेट हो तो आपको वो मिल ही जाता है। और वो अगर मिल गया तो देन योर मेजर हर्डल इज गॉन। व्हाई? बिकॉज यू हैव समबडी टू गाइड यू, टू मेंटर यू विथ स्ट्रैटेजिक इन्वेस्टमेंट। मतलब उनके गोल्स और आपके गोल अलाइंड है। अगर आप ग्रो करोगे, जैसे उन्होंने हमको नर्चर किया, HDFC ने नर्चर किया, HDFC का क्या फायदा हुआ? व्हाई इट वाज विन विन? बिकॉज वी मेड मनी, वी बिल्ट आवर लेगेसी, and HDFC got 10,350 crores, right? So it's a win-win. It always works, and only then it can function. Next point, ivory tower approach versus customers co-creating approach. ये बहुत क्रिटिकल है। मान लीजिए आपके पास, आपने बड़ा अपॉर्चुनिटी देख लिया, आपने लेजर फोकस कर लिया, स्ट्रैटेजिक पार्टनर आ गया, लेकिन आपका अगर एटीट्यूड है, अगर आप सोचते कि यही मेरा प्रोडक्ट है, टेक इट और लीव इट, वो हो गया आइवरी टावर अप्रोच। कि आप कहीं पे बैठे हुए महल में बैठे हुए और आप सोच रहे हो मेरे प्रोडक्ट सब लोग लेंगे, वो सरवाइव नहीं हो सकता वैसा थॉट प्रोसेस और स्ट्रैटेजी। उसके लिए कस्टमर्स हैव टू को क्रिएट इट, एंड दैट कम्स बैक टू आवर लेजर फोकस। जैसे क्रेडिला एजुकेशन लोन था, हम बैंक्स को क्यों बीट कर पाते थे और क्यों बीट कर सकते हैं अभी भी? उसका रीजन ये है कि वी वेंट डीप, वी डिड नॉट गो वाइड। जब कस्टमर्स को क्रिएट करते हैं, दैट मीन्स ऑल अबाउट 1000+ एम्प्लॉइज ऑफ क्रेडिला नाउ, जब तक हम थे 700 एम्प्लॉइज, उनका दिन में 3 घंटे का हमारा कॉल क्या होता था कि कस्टमर्स को पेन पॉइंट क्या है और उसको हम सॉल्व कर सकते हैं क्या। एज एन एग्जाम्पल, जैसे ही एजुकेशन लोन के लिए बच्चे US जा रहे थे MS के लिए, मोस्ट ऑफ देम डिड नॉट हैव गारंटी, कोलैटरल गारंटी, तो हमने अनसिक्योर्ड लोन डिजाइन किया विथ नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट्स ऑफ 0.1%। unsecured lending 0.1% asset, ये was so unbelievable that our auditors KPMG and Deloitte, पहले Deloitte थे फिर KPMG statutory auditors आए, did audit for 1.5 years and then continued on. HDFC ने खुद के auditors लगाए multiple times and it was real, but they couldn't believe it. Even India did not believe it. The rating agency did not believe it. Credila got AAA rating after they kicked the tires. क्यों? Because it was real. How did it happen? कि अगर किसी के पास सिक्योरिटी नहीं है, लेकिन सिक्योरिटी का मतलब क्या है? आई एम टेलिंग यू हाउ कस्टमर्स कैन हेल्प यू को क्रिएट। बैंकिंग में क्या फिलोसॉफी थी कि अगर आपके पास एसेट नहीं है तो वो आदमी डिफॉल्ट करेगा। इन आवर ओपिनियन इट वाज अ रॉन्ग अप्रोच, बिकॉज दे वांटेड टू प्रोटेक्ट देयर जॉब। जॉब प्रोटेक्ट कैसे करेंगे कि किसी के पास एसेट है, अगर उसने डिफॉल्ट किया, उसके अगेंस्ट लॉसूट लगा दो या उसको सरफेसी में लेके जाओ, उसका लैंड पजेस करो। बट उससे क्या होने वाला है? लैंड पजेस हुआ, लेकिन आपका लोन वापस पैसा आने में तो 2-4 साल चले गए, लीगल कॉस्ट भी हो गया। इंस्टेड वी टुक अ डिफरेंट अप्रोच। हमने ये सोचा कि किसी के पास घर है, इसका मतलब ये तो नहीं कि वो EMI भर पाएगा, या किसी के पास लैंड नहीं है, इसका मतलब ये तो नहीं तो कि वो उसके पास पैसे नहीं होंगे। सो द अप्रोच वी हैड टेकन इज, और ये कस्टमर्स हेल्प्ड अस को क्रिएट इट एंड दैट बिकेम अ सस्टेनेबल कंपेटिटिव एडवांटेज। वन अमंग, मतलब ये एक ही नहीं, ऐसे मल्टीपल पॉइंट्स है, बट अ कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ ऑल दोज एलिमेंट्स became a sustainable competitive advantage which helped us build the scale. कैसे हुआ? हमने एनालिसिस ये किया कि अगर इंडियन स्टूडेंट US में MS करने जा रहा है तो उसको पासपोर्ट लगता है। पासपोर्ट रिन्यूअल के लिए प्रोसेस क्या है कि उसको पुलिस वेरिफिकेशन लगता है। पुलिस वेरीफाई क्या करते हैं कि उसके अगेंस्ट कोई लॉसूट है क्या। अगर हमने उनसे पोस्ट डेटेड चेक्स लेते हैं, और अगर 138 सेक्शन है निगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट एक्ट का, अंडर दैट उनको 6 मंथ जेल टर्म होगा। तो अगर हमने किसका पोस्ट डेटेड चेक लिया और वो डिपॉजिट किया, वो बाउंस हो गया, एंड इफ यू फॉलो सर्टेन रूल्स, उसके 4 स्टेप्स है, वो फॉलो करने के बाद देन यू कैन फाइल अ क्रिमिनल कंप्लेंट एंड द स्टूडेंट कैन बी पुट बिहाइंड बार्स। आप सोचिए, अगर उसके अगेंस्ट लॉसूट है, अगर हम उसको ये समझाते हैं कि आप अगर डिफॉल्ट करोगे तो हमको वी विल बी कंपेल्ड टू फाइल 138, उसका मतलब आपका पासपोर्ट रिन्यू नहीं हो पाएगा, आपका H1B नहीं मिलेगा, and you will be stuck there or you will be arrested on arrival in India. ये कितना strong deterrent है। और so इसमें 2 पार्ट है, एक तो willingness and ability to repay. So we underwritten the ability to repay by the course to which he or she was going, कि उसके जो कोर्स को वो जा रहा है, क्या वो फोटोग्राफी का कोर्स है जो कि एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी अनसर्टन है, या कोई साइबर सिक्योरिटी का कोर्स है जहाँ पे उसको जॉब मिलेगा। So once we evaluated ability, वी वेरीफाइड द इंटेंट. दूसरा हमने किया कि होम जो education loan, customized education loan, home delivered. That was another innovation we have done. So when we created, we solved their pain points. और I-20 के लिए उनको proof of funds लगता है, तो हमने pre-approved loans दिया. So those are some of the ways in which we could compete and co-create these ideas with the customers. Now last two ones remaining. दूसरा, अगर हम जब स्टार्टअप करते हैं या कोई नया वेंचर करते हैं, तो यूजुअली माइंडसेट ये होता है कि हमारा ऑफिस बहुत फैंसी ऑफिस होना चाहिए, या हमको स्टाफ में IIT IIM से लेने चाहिए, टॉप एम्प्लॉय चाहिए, एक्सपीरियंस चाहिए, जिनकी सैलरी कुछ भी हो. इन माय ओपिनियन, इन द करंट एनवायरनमेंट, दैट इज नॉट सस्टेनेबल. क्यों? क्योंकि आपके पास विंडो ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी बहुत छोटा है और आपका प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी डे वन से नहीं आता है. इंस्टेंट यू ऑप्टिमाइज योर रिसोर्सेज. अगर आप एकदम फ्रूगल वे में करते हो, कैन यू डू बार्टर अरेंजमेंट. जैसे हमने उसका असेंबली लाइन अप्रोच किया था कि जो एजुकेशन लोन ओरिजिनेशन प्रोसेस है, वो भी फ्रैगमेंटेड इट इनटू स्मॉलर चंक्स, असेंबली लाइन, एंड दैट एनेबल्ड अस टू कीप आवर कॉस्ट लो. सिर्फ 250 एम्प्लॉइज में वी कुड डिस्बर्स, जो ऑन रोल्स थे 250 एम्प्लॉइज, वी कुड डिस्बर्स 10,000 crores फ्रॉम नासिक, and that too across all offices across India. वो करते हुए भी we could keep our cost to income ratio less than 35% without scale. जब बैलेंस शीट साइज छोटा होता है तो cost to income ratio इतना कम लाना was impossible in India. वो भी Credila could do that because we conserved cash. And the last point, जो 6 points हमने देखे फॉर्मूले के, ये बहुत क्रिटिकल है. अगर हमको सस्टेनेबल बिजनेस बनाना है तो या नहीं बनाना है, उसके दो तरीके होते हैं. अ बलून मॉडल वर्सेस डीप रूटेड मॉडल. बलून मॉडल मतलब क्या है कि यू कीप ब्लोइंग द बलून. मतलब आप स्पेंड करते रहिए, आप आपके न्यूज़पेपर में एड्स देते रहिए, आप ज्यादा बड़े ऑफिसेस खोलिए, आप बड़े एम्प्लॉइज लगाइए एंड कीप रेजिंग मोर एंड मोर मनी. सो व्हेन द बलून बर्स्ट, यू नो हाउ बिग यू हैव ब्लोन. इसके बजाय इसके कॉन्ट्ररी अप्रोच है दैट वी हैव टेकन इज डीप रूटेड मॉडल. मतलब डोंट फोकस ऑन एडवर्टाइजमेंट. आपने क्रेडिला का ऐड कहीं नहीं देखा होगा, ना तो टीवी पे ना न्यूज़पेपर में. उसके बावजूद भी इतना बड़ा क्यों बड़ा? बिकॉज वी हैड डेवलप्ड डीप रूटेड इकोसिस्टम अराउंड आवर प्रोडक्ट. We had partnership network of thousands of consultants, student consultants, who were our student advisors, who are a part of our ecosystem. We helped them build their businesses. We had banks as our partners. We had TPAs as our partners. So a deep-rooted model, and most importantly, your employees. जो deep rooted model में Credila created the corporate culture where everybody felt that it was their company and they were creating their own legacies. हमने जब फर्स्ट क्रेडिला का एक सेशन किया था, तो हमारा स्टेटेड ड्रीम ये था कि जब हम वी वर पायनियरिंग प्राइवेट एजुकेशन लोन कंपनी, वी सेड ऑल द पीपल सिटिंग हियर विल रन प्राइवेट एजुकेशन लोन इंडस्ट्री ऑफ इंडिया. और आज अगर हम देखेंगे 15 साल बाद, आज आप 6 या 7 कंपनीज एजुकेशन लोन करती है, उन सारों के की पीपल आर फ्रॉम क्रेडिला. उसमें से 2-3 CEO लेवल पर है. बिकॉज वी पायनियर्ड द इंडस्ट्री and because we were so deep rooted, our domain expertise went in. We institutionalized domain expertise within people. आपकी अगर टीम पैशनेट हो तो वो खुद ही एक अपना एनसाइक्लोपीडिया बन जाते हैं आपके इंडस्ट्री का, एंड दैट एनेबल्ड आवर ग्रोथ. नाउ उसमें और एक मेरा एक फिलोसॉफी है, ये मैंने डॉक्टर दीपक जैन जो है केलॉग के डीन, उनसे मैं मिला था और एक सेशन में उनका सुना था, नॉलेज कम्स फ्रॉम एनालिसिस. अभी तो हम सारा एनालिसिस, नॉलेज बहुत है उससे एनालिसिस होता है, लेकिन विजडम कम्स फ्रॉम सिंथेसिस. जो डॉट्स अगर हम कनेक्ट कर पाते हैं तो ही विजडम होगा. और अगर हम डॉट्स कनेक्ट पाने का, सिंथेसिस का अगर हमने स्किल सीख लिया, दैट मींस वी हैव डेवलप्ड द एंटरप्रेन्योरियल माइंडसेट. नेक्स्ट फ्रंटियर ऑफ ग्रोथ इज गोइंग टू बी हाउ क्विकली वी कैन अनलर्न एंड सी थिंग्स डिफरेंटली. लर्निंग तो ओके, बट कैन वी अनलर्न एंड रीलर्न? वुड डिफाइन the next frontiers of growth individually and to our organizations. और आपके लिए मेरा एक ही मैसेज है, सबके लिए. मैं भी आपके जैसा स्टूडेंट था, मुझे भी किसी ने इंस्पायर किया. लाइफ इज अ स्टोरी, मेक yours द बेस्ट सेलर. आपकी लाइफ है, आप उसको बेस्ट सेलर स्टोरी बनाइए एंड टेक ऑन द वर्ल्ड. विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट. थैंक यू.
Now, I would like to request Mr. Anil Parekh, Chairman of JITO Nagpur, to present Mr. Ajay Bohora with a memento. Mr. Anil Parekh, Chairman of JITO Nagpur, to present Mr. Ajay Bohora with a memento.
Deep-rooted approach where you told us about how you built this food league. Can you elaborate on it more?
So, see, if we start any business, very rarely any business can do it standalone. We need to collaborate and we need to have the ecosystem around it. So, for example, now for loan origination process, we needed the prospects to come in, the leads have to come in. Also on the banking side, we needed people who could help us raise the funds, right? So whatever our workflow is for our business, we need to create institutions and partners around it. So specific examples. So prospecting, where would we get the leads? For any business, it's important that they have to have ongoing flow of leads, ongoing flow of business. So what we did was we found out that engineering colleges were the places where we could really get lot of students go to the US for their MS programs. So we had partnered with colleges. What we told them was, we will get you student advisors who will advise them on how to select a country for higher education and how to select the right course. Now those advisors were also our channel partners. So what did we do? We told them, let's say, to give one example, if let's say at Nagpur there is any student advisor who sends students, who prepares students for GRE as an example, or GMAT, then we would go to them and we will say, currently you get 50 students or 100 students. We will grow you to 500 students. If you agree to work with us, and you just have to pass on their leads to us. It's not important or it's not compulsory for the student to take loans from us. But you help them, at least you give their referral to us. Now, for him, we were helping him grow his business, right? So, without any money. So, he became very interested. So, we took him to the engineering colleges and he conducted the sessions where our team was there. And this we did across India, across all metros. Second thing, we also realized that there are foreign currency players. Also the entrance exam, GRE and GMAT centers are there. We partnered with them. We said that whoever takes GRE, we need that database with us. So without incurring much cost, we used to get the pool of data of aspiring students who went to the US. Now that was like building a system, like deep-rooted model. Why? Because any competition coming in also, it would take them a long time. You are creating an entry barrier. It will take a long time for them to beat you because you would have already built those relationships. Now on the lending side, for example, see for any non-bank finance company, how does the model work? You borrow from somewhere, equity is only 15%. As per RBI guidelines, capital adequacy ratio is 15%, 10% of tier 1 capital, 5% of tier 2. So barring equity, for every 100 rupees we do, 85 rupees has to be from the debt. And that, assuming that 5% debt is not included in that. So we needed bank partners. So what we did was, we told them that we give you underlying portfolio as a collateral and you give us incremental amount, 10 crore, 15 crores, and then do your audits on a regular basis. They put a condition on us that the rating agency has to be there. You have to get rated AA, AAA. And those rating agencies were very wary of, they were risk averse. So what we did was, we told them, you send your analysts, let them spend a few days with us, unannounced. They can randomly go to any office of Credila and spend time to see how we underwrite. And they were reluctant earlier, but after they saw our insistence, they did that exercise and that instilled the confidence. So we got the rating agency. Because of that, our high rating like AA and later on AAA rating, which is the highest rating, we could borrow money at a lower cost. That means our profit increased. So these are some of the examples where we build ecosystem. For also our employees, our strategic asset were our employees, our team members. So what we did was we give them full autonomy, but they needed people, the executives, sales executives, who would go out and collect the files from the students. because our model was not to call students for our branches, because we felt we had small offices, there was no place to sit. So we sent people, but we were not able to retain them because their salaries are lower. So what we did was we rented flats in Bangalore, Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore, Chennai, Ahmedabad, Kolkata, and we got people from tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities or rural places, trained them and gave them a place to live and made arrangements for their food. That gave us a steady workforce who were our first mile and the last mile, because they were a connect with the customers. That was also part of building that network thing, the last slide that we showed you. And that's how it depends on your business. If you do these small micro innovations, 1,000 micro innovations, and do these small things right, hundreds of small things right, then it creates an entry barrier A, and B, you build such a strong platform that you can build, like they have built 40,000 crores on that. Why? Because these ingredients and nuts and bolts were in places. Does that answer your question? Any other question?
Hello, I'm Abhishek from Nagpur. Very enlightening session that you had. So a typical question that many entrepreneurs face is building the team. You said you had an initial very good team, and then later on they became CEOs of corporations. So that is the typical challenge that everybody faces. You build up a team, you train them, and later on they move on. So how do you handle that specific thing?
So there are two parts to it. One is that I think when you see your own alumni, we used to call them alumni, Credila's alumni, becoming the CEO, it is a very positive thing and also very fulfilling thing on one hand. On the other hand, it hurts the business. You are right. So to handle that, so one example first, how to get the top talent. So that could be one question probably, because if we are diversifying into a new business, that means we are calling the word diversification means we do not know that business ourselves. So we need a domain expert. Like in our case, we did not know banking, so we needed a top banking person at the helm of our affairs. So I'll give you one specific example. Prashant Bhosle was the name of the person. He was at ICICI Bank and he was doing 12,000 crores of business then. We were just starting out. Merrill Lynch hadn't signed up with us then, and HDFC did not, no question of HDFC being a part of it. So I remember, and his name got referred to us by a friend. We met at Orchid Hotel at Mumbai. And he said, what is your business plan? What are you looking at? I shared whatever I wanted to say, that this is what we want to do. And then afterwards he called us. He said, you have shared enough with me. Now I am your competitor also because I am ICICI Bank. So please do not share in the interest until I decide to join or not. One day he called and he said he would want to be a part of our team. And my brother and I called him back saying, look, you are doing 12,000 crores there. We are just a startup. We do not know if we would exist a few years later or not. So we want to understand why you are joining. And this is the answer to part of your question is, he said, I want to create something which will be fulfilling and create a legacy. He said, if I do this at ICICI Bank, I would be one among many. I'm already doing that. But if I create something from scratch, it would be very fulfilling to me. And he said, I could not get education loan and I could not go abroad. So it's very personal to me. And he joined us. He became our country head. He ran our company until we got Merrill Lynch and we grew a certain size. Later on, he left and currently he is the CEO and a co-founder of another education loan company called Kuhu, which is doing extremely good. So the same person. So it worked out. In his professional life also he has grown. So, but the other part, now as an entrepreneur, if a person leaves, then you are really stuck with a very bad situation or you don't know how to do. In our case, because we were the first private education loan lender as the NBFC, everybody wanted people from Credila because where else would they recruit from? So we had architectured our org chart and we had architectured our process flow, assuming that there would be an onslaught on our people. And most of the professionals and CAs also, lawyers, all others face the same issue. So the systemic solution that we found for this challenge is we have segmented our processes. So what we did, for example, one of the most sought after person from our company was credited. How do we approve the loan or decline the loan? That is our domain expertise, right? So what we did was we split that into like a car assembly line. We created a center at Nasik where somebody would only do civil analysis, somebody would only do bank analysis, somebody would only do the college and the course and the university analysis for which he or she is going. And then when the credit person sat there, all elements of decision making were in place, and there was intelligence and wisdom about those points already laid down on the system. So the dependence on the intelligence or the wisdom of a person or the experience of that credit manager got institutionalized to a large extent, which also meant domain expertise for us in the hands of the institution. That meant that once the credit manager left for a particular reason, regional credit managers, then our learning curve for an incumbent, for a replacement would not be that long. That is one. Second also, what we did was, in order to retain the employees, retain our senior people, we made sure that their life was well worth it. That means we give them additional responsibilities, and the mundane act, we took it off from them. So like these people, these are tactical things or clerical things they felt. So we gave them highly cognitive stuff to work on, intelligent things to do, and with their scale increase. Also more important is, in my opinion, what helped us was because we were blitzscaling. We were growing so fast, their span of control was also growing. Not in people terms, but on the size. They were doing, let's say, 10 crores of disbursement in the first year. They did 100 crores in a short span of 2 years. Then 1,000 crores. So that also gave them a kick. And the last point is, in my mind, very few people leave for the money, but instead they leave for the bosses and also the way they get treated. So what we had done was, we used to do once a year, one session of where our senior leadership came in from all across, and we gave them one exercise. We created a legacy exercise. We said that let's assume that 50 years down the line, 80 years down the line, you are there no more. What would your family should say about you in one sentence? What would you want to be said on your anniversary, death anniversary? And everybody, it was a very serious question and a very offensive question to ask. But they went back and they started thinking and they wrote down, I want to be known as education loan pioneer in Chennai. I want to be known as somebody who helped people achieve their dreams. I want let's say in Bangalore, or I want to be known as somebody who created the operational network for Credila from Nasik. So those were the legacy statements, and that gave them the mission that I am going to make an impact. I am going to change the world. And wherever our students graduated, we used to share it with them that, look, the impact of what you have done. Somebody, I had put one slide on our annual day of all the top Fortune 100 companies of the world, not just the US. And we had our students who could reach there because we funded them, because those were unsecured loans. No bank would have touched them. And that, I think those components helped us deal with the challenge that you are saying. I don't know if we could answer the question. Thank you.
On behalf of Raisoni Technology Business Incubator Foundation, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Ajay Bohora for delivering such an insightful and enriching session. His valuable knowledge and expertise have certainly left a lasting impact on all of us. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to our esteemed chairman, Shri Sunil Raisoni, and our executive director, Shri Shreyas Raisoni, for their visionary leadership and for organizing such impactful knowledge sharing session. Their commitment to fostering innovation and learning is truly commendable. Further, I would like to convey my appreciation to our esteemed associates, JITO Nagpur, TIE Nagpur, and the Vidarbha Economic Development Council for their continuous support and collaboration. A special thank goes to the directors of Raisoni Education, Dr. Sachin Untwale, Dr. Aarti Deshpande, Dr. Ashutosh Padurkar, and Dr. Vivek Kapoor for their relentless support in making this event a success. We truly value the contribution of everyone involved, and we look forward for such knowledge-building initiatives in future. Thank you.